Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're answering some fun questions and learning even more about each other. Join us as we dive into our own version of table topics. Let's get started. Listeners, today it's just Mindy and me, or me and Mindy, as Julie wasn't able to record with us this week. But no worries, though. She'll be back next week. And in the meantime, Mindy and I are going to answer a lot of fun questions and learn even more about each other. So, Mindy, why don't you tell everyone where the idea for this episode came from?
Well, as our listeners know, we're in the midst of summer. And even when Marie and I first got on this morning, we were trying to remember what we had been up to so we could update each other. And so that's just how summer is. So in thinking back to just my week at the beach with my family last week, one of the favorite things that we did was having our table topics conversations around the dinner table. It's just very random questions that we would pull out, and we would just sit there and have these great discussions. And so when Marie, Julie, and I were trying to talk about what we were going to do this week, this was something that came up because obviously it's easy. Second of all, it's fun. And even with my family, the people I live with every day or even inconsistently, we're learning things about each other. And it just gives deeper conversation into kind of everyday things. So we found some great questions. We're going to have a great conversation today.
Yeah. And listeners, we're going to link, or we're going to try to link maybe to the exact table topics that you have in our show notes, Mindy. I think we have linked that before, but we'll go ahead and link that again because I think it's probably hit or miss on which deck of cards is good. And so yours seems to be a really good deck.
Yes. I mean, because there's different themes when you go looking online or if you see them in the store, and they're all really good. Like even this one, I think is supposed to be for couples or date night, and we've used it for the family. So
okay, so they are versatile then.
It really is very versatile. They're clean. You know, it's just depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. And don't you love it? You know, that is one good thing about having older kids is you really can ask questions like this and get real answers and have a good discussion.
Yes. You know, one of the questions that we're not going to talk about today, but that we probably had almost an hour-long conversation about. I mean, I would have never thought to ask this, but it was very interesting. Was how did your family's financial status affect you while you were growing up? And what was really cool about it is we had Bryce and I, and, you know, we were the oldest people there, but then we had my son-in-law. We got to hear his story more. And then the difference even between Abby and like Jacob and Nathan. Grant was not able to join us, but they had different, you know, situation in the same home. So it turned out to be a really cool conversation.
I really want to hear that conversation. You should have recorded it.
Oh my goodness. I couldn't believe. I mean, there was a storm outside at the beach. We couldn't go anywhere. And it was really cool to think about.
Oh, I love that. That's a special memory. All right. All right. Well, let's get started with our first question. And the first question is, what changes could we make to reduce our level of stress? And Mindy, what did you guys, did you even talk about this one at the beach, or is this just an all new one for you?
I'll say all of these questions are new. These are things that I am sad to miss Julie today because I feel like she adds so much to this. So Julie, we really miss you. But I wanted to learn these things about you and Julie. So when I went through the deck, I actually picked new questions for us.
Okay. So what did you think would reduce your level of stress?
Well, you know how I love sleep. And if I can just get to bed at a good time and get a good night's sleep, there's that.
Yes.
Also, as much as going to bed early helps, getting up early actually helps me. If I'm able to kind of start my day with the Lord quietly, kind of, you know, work through all the things that maybe are stressing me, to maybe even get some perspective from the word, from, just some time journaling, praying. And then this is something that makes a big difference with my stress level, and that's working out. Working out is a game changer, and sweating, like just sweating, extending yourself to the point of exhaustion. I have to physically do that sometimes to really let go of something.
Yeah, I love those. I mean, working out is a really great one. Waking up early. I'm someone that accomplishes so much more in the morning than I do in the evening.
Yeah.
And different body clocks have different things, but I just happen to be someone that accomplishes more in the morning. And then what was the first? Oh, sleep. Yes. If we can get some decent sleep. And then, yes, I do think that if we can have a quiet time, that really does. I feel like that's something that I usually don't look to first to relieve my stress, because it feels stressful to sit down and think about all the things that I'm stressed about. But actually, that is helpful. And then I don't know if I ever heard this word in this context so much until a few years ago, but margin. I think there's even a book called Margin. But I remember hearing someone on a podcast, I think they had read the book and then they talked about it. And I do feel like margin just relieves so much stress and anxiety. And I think it's so easy in today's society to just see any little hole in your schedule and think, oh, I can fit that in, whether it's that activity or that job or that relationship or whatever. And we don't leave ourselves enough margin. And so we're just harried and we just run from thing to thing to thing. And we're not really enjoying any of them.
You are so right about that. Something I've noticed when we were, we've talked about summertime and just kind of how busy it is. There's a lot more people, more conversations, activity. Something that has helped, you talked about margin, and it made me think that, like, sometimes when I teach a fitness class and I know I'm going to podcast, I don't have any noise in between the two because I actually need a reset. I've just done a lot of talking and instructing and encouraging and, things like that. And then I need to kind of be quiet. I need silence, no music, where I've just been blasting music,
Sure.
and then I come in and I just feel more refreshed than to have a conversation.
Yes.
So and it's not always like saying no, but saying maybe not right now or later. And something else I've noticed is if, like, after we podcast, I did teach this morning, I had silence in between, I'm having a conversation now, I'm going to go sit on my back deck, and sitting in the heat for like 5 to 10 minutes, there's something, it's almost like a sauna situation right now in Georgia. And there's something about getting outside and in the sunshine, if or walking in grass. I don't know. It's just, and then I come in and I'm like ready for the next thing.
Right.
I love that you said margin, because those are the things just like throughout the day to give yourself a little breather in between.
Right. All right, let's look at our second question. Our second question is, have you ever experienced a miracle? And my boys tease me because I pray about even small things. And then when it works out, I kind of do consider that a miracle, but it's not like a turning the water into wine type miracle. But I feel like it's a heard prayer and answer.
Yes.
I guess maybe I'm loose with the word miracle.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I do kind of consider miraculous, even though it does happen, is our twins. Identical twins are rare, and I had prayed to have another girl, and the fact that we had identical twin girls when I had been praying that really feels like a miracle to me.
Oh, in abundance, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to interject here. I want to hear more, but I wanted to say the first thing I put down was my younger boys. And so I just think it's ironic that that was the first thing you went to, because that's the first thing that I went to. Is I felt like they were miracles. I know a lot of women have miscarriages and then have babies after. But to me, having them both was something that I went through a season that I didn't think that I would be able.
Mm-hmm.
And so to be so coming out of such a brokenhearted place and being able to have them really just blessed our family in abundance, all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's neat, Marie, that you thought of your girls and I thought of my boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And then I thought of when my oldest son had appendicitis. I mean, he was on a trip with my husband and it was diagnosed very late into it. I mean, he really could have died. And he spent a long time in the hospital. It was very hard on his body. And, I consider that a miracle that he got, like they were on their way to the airport. And I just said, I really think you need to just pull over at the next emergency room you see. They were in New York City and they were on their way to the airport. And, the doctor said that if he had gotten on the plane, that would have been really bad with the air pressure changes and everything. And so, there were just so many things about that. I just really feel like God spared his life there. And I've always considered that to have been a miracle.
Amen. I'm going to interject again. Let's just have a back and forth with this one, because I feel that way with my youngest son. I've told you guys about the death-defying experiences he put us through. Put himself through when he was little.
Yes.
And we laugh about it, but I genuinely feel that God spared him.
Yes.
Several times.
And to refresh listeners, like he fell from a third-story window or something.
Oh, he could have.
Oh, he could have.
So I had put the child down for a nap. I mean, no more than walk down the stairs. And my neighbor, I had just sat down, like I was going to have that. Okay, okay, he's in bed. I was going to eat lunch, and I hear it like my doorbell's ringing, like frantically ringing, and I'm like, "What?" Like I just sat down,
right?
And I go to the door. It's my neighbor who happened to have a surgery that day, so her husband was home to help her. He had been sitting in his living room next door and saw my little 3-year-old Nathan had popped the screen out of the 3rd-story window and was waving at him. And so my neighbor ran over to get my attention to get him. And like it was a straight fall to an aggregate patio.
Yes.
So there was that. And I very much felt that his life was spared there for him to have not fallen. And then when he left us at the beach, we had no more than, Bryce and I swapped off kid duty, and he ended up crossing a busy street trying to go find a Frisbee in our hotel room. And in the chaos, I mean, we couldn't find him for a good hour and a half and had to describe him and what he was wearing to the lifeguard. And it just, all the things that go through your mind in that moment. And so it's just a scary place to be. And I'm so thankful that he's with us. And every birthday that we have with him, I feel grateful to know him. He's 15 now. And I'm just so thankful. Because I feel like his life is a gift.
For sure. Yeah. Those scary moments really make you understand the brevity and the fleetingness and just, we are just not in control. Like we can try to do everything right, but we're just not all knowing and we're not all seeing and we're not, we don't know everything. And so sometimes God just prompts us or creates a circumstance where we become aware of something that we just genuinely weren't aware of before,
Right. I don't know about you. I feel like instead of giving me more worry, it took my hands off, of feeling that like I tried to want to have control, and it just gave me a lot of gratitude. So it almost gave me a break from feeling like I had to control everything because it was so glaring that I couldn't.
For sure. I wrote down, there's, like I said, I have lots of little mini miracles, but another miracle that I just have kind of always considered it just because my mom kind of pointed it out. So when we lived in New York State, all my family moved to Tennessee, my 3 siblings, my parents, and my kids were 2 and 4 at the time. And I just kind of felt like I can either move to Tennessee or I can spend my whole life traveling 12 hours to see everybody. But it took us a while to move. And, Steve was looking into other jobs. He was seeing if he'd be able to transfer within the federal government. And it just took a while. And I remember my mom saying to herself, she told me this afterwards, she would say like to herself or to other family members that would ask her about it, but I wasn't there. She'd be like, the only way Marie's going to move is if they just pull the moving truck up right outside her door and load it up. And that's really what happened. Like, it was one of those jobs where they paid for the whole move. They had people show up right at your door to pack you and load it right down to the swing set. Like, that was what happened. And so I just thought that was kind of funny that my mom was thinking, well, the only way she's going to do that is if this happens. And then that happened.
Oh, wow. Oh, that is funny. I haven't heard that story before.
Yeah. So anyways, what those things do is they just stick out in our minds, and kind of give us hope then in other situations.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, less worry, trust.
Yeah, you kind of have to let go.
Mm-hmm.
I said the last thing that I put down, we've been having a lot of relationship questions and conversations with all three of our sons recently. Mm-hmm. And so it's just brought up more about like Bryce and my marriage and our early years and how we started dating and things like that. And so I actually was telling the boys that I do feel that our long marriage is a miracle. I feel that we both, are very, very grateful for one another, and that at any turn, had one of us decided to stay angry or not forgive or not work through something, I just feel very grateful to be where I am with my husband. And I truly do feel like that's a blessing. That's a miracle that I'm blessed to have, I guess. I don't take it for granted, and now, sickness, and I have friends that have lost spouses, and I just, all the time that we have together, I'm very grateful for.
That's definitely a good reminder for sure. All right, well, let's turn to something lighthearted. For what reasons were you disciplined? Although I don't know how lighthearted this is, but I think it is kind of funny. For what reasons were you disciplined when you were a child? I feel like we probably have the same one, Mindy.
Uh-oh, what's that?
Talking too much.
Oh my gosh, I put talking back.
Well, yes, I have talking back, fighting, running my mouth. In school, talking too much.
Lots of...
Pretty much everything revolved around talking.
Yep. Yes, that's the first thing on my list.
Attitude when I'm talking. Just all the things. All the things.
I can't imagine that at all.
So I put that probably as definitely the vast majority of reasons that I was disciplined anywhere, school, home, anywhere.
Yeah, me too. Number one.
So what else did you have on there?
Slamming my door.
Oh, okay.
When I got angry. So I think I have told the story of the time that I'd say I was a pretty good kid, but the one angry outburst that I would do would be when I was sent to my room, I would make sure they knew I was there, and I would just slam that door with everything in me. And my dad, told me if I did it again, he'd take it off. Well, he did, because I did it again. And I went without a door for like 3 months.
Oh my. I bet you still don't slam doors.
Oh, no. But I think we did end up taking one of the kids' doors off.
Okay.
But I think it was so they had to keep their room clean, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right. So the only other thing, which I feel like you could probably relate with, you had more siblings than I did. I only had one brother, but fighting with him.
Yeah.
Fighting with him. I mean, we were obnoxious.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like even physically, we were both not like mean, but we would wrestle. So yeah, fighting.
Yeah, definitely. My brother next in line, there's 4 of us, but the one that's only 18 months younger than me, we fought like cats and dogs the whole time until we moved out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I do remember one time in particular, my mom was so beside herself with anger. She had taken us to the mall. And I mean, like, we're big enough to know better. And we were just at each other and even like running around in the store.
Yeah.
Like to get each other. And it was so bad that it was like, when we get home, you just go to your room and wait for your dad.
Yeah.
It was not good. All right, Maria, I have one more. Having a really messy room. Like I was a wreck. And one time in particular, I couldn't go out and play until my room was clean. So I stuffed it all under my bed. I had a bed skirt.
Oh.
I stuffed every last thing under my bed. I get all the way down the street to my friend's house and I hear my father, Mindy, get back here. Yeah, they found it. I'm sure like it was like my room was clean so fast. I'm sure they're like, what did she do? Because there was not enough time.
Oh man. I mean, I can totally see people doing that. Isn't that what bed skirts are made for?
It is, right? Okay. So that's the last thing.
Yeah. Well, now we know what we all got in trouble for the most. Yeah. There's other things we got in trouble for that we probably won't share in the podcast, but those were common things.
That's right.
All right. Which item of clothing immediately changes your state of mind when you put it on? I feel like I have a lot of these. Mm-hmm. Workout clothes. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I've read this before. I know everyone's heard it. Like, if you want to make sure you work out in the morning, get your workout clothes out the night before. Because as soon as you put them on, you're going to feel more like exercising.
Yes.
Pajamas. When I put those on at night, that changes my state of mind to the day is done. It is time to relax. Let that... whatever you didn't get done on your to-do list, go. Like,
who cares?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those were the two main ones. But I also just every week when I change my clothes after church, it's like a mind switch. And I just love when I change after church.
That's so funny. We are like so similar with this question.
Okay.
Because I definitely put that. It was like sweatpants and socks and a sweatshirt at night. Like after my shower, when I'm done, I feel so good about just lounging because it's my lounge clothes. Like, and I never wear sweatpants out. And then I put workout clothes, but it's the shoes for me. Like when I put on the tennis shoes.
Okay.
Even if I'm staying at home, I'm more likely to be active, like go out and walk or stretch or get to class. And so putting my shoes on kind of helps. It's like, all right, it's time. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And then you're so right. I love dressing up on Sunday morning because it's the only day of the week that I wear different earrings, that I put a necklace on, that I fix my hair, that... I get to wear a dress and I love it. And then I love also coming home and lounging.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I especially like it in the winter when you're putting on like warm, like sweatpants or leggings, a sweatshirt. You're going to get to go downstairs and relax and eat lunch, maybe take your Sunday afternoon nap. I mean, it's just, I love that signal to my body.
Oh, me too.
All right. Which TV show would you love to return to the air?
I actually only had one show that came to mind.
Well, it said show.
Yep. It's just one for me that I could think of. There may be more. Like I loved Saved by the Bell when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Way back, I was thinking about that. But the one show for me as an adult with my family that we have loved is Monk.
Oh.
He was so quirky. It was clean. It was a murder mystery in every episode. I loved how odd he was and just altruistic, very naive about evil and people and just, like he knew things, but he just had this altruistic love for his wife that had passed. He was such a cool character. So I miss Monk, actually.
It's funny because my son that's home from college, I hear Monk on in the other room a lot. And a few times I've sat down to rewatch it and it is good.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a show?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Hands down, the show I would want to return is 30 something.
Oh, yes, I've heard you talk about that.
Love that show. And for people that weren't born or don't know about 30 something, it focused on a group of baby boomers in their 30s who lived in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and how they handled the lifestyle that dominated American culture during the 1980s, given their involvement in the early 1970s counterculture. So it really was about baby boomers. It really was about more people my parents' age. Yeah. I started watching it in high school, but I loved that show. It has 4 seasons. And in college, I remember we watched the season finale of one of the seasons, and my roommate and I cried. We literally cried that they killed off one of the characters. Ooh. And then we would send each other tapes, VHS tapes of episodes we had taped off of Lifetime. I don't even know if Lifetime is still airing, but they used to run it like every afternoon. And then we would, I would send her tapes of those just to refresh her memory on 30 something. Wow. But then I've watched it like all 4 seasons, basically every time my life changes. So like in college, when I got married, after the birth of my first child, when my kids all went to school, like every few years, it's my comfort watch. It's my touch base. It's seen me through my whole adulthood. I love that show.
Goodness. I can't believe I've never watched it.
Well, a lot of people haven't seen it because it's one of those shows that's never really made it to streaming. I think Netflix streamed it for a very short period of time, but there's always been, whenever I look up why it's not streaming, it's because there's always been a conflict between the music they had and the streaming companies not wanting to pay for the right to that music.
Oh.
I don't remember. So for years, I had all the episodes taped off Lifetime. And then Target finally carried the DVDs for a brief period of time. So I bought all 4 seasons, and now I watch all of those.
I was about to ask, how many seasons is it?
Okay. Yeah, 4. So yeah, that's my all-time favorite. But Parenthood is the closest second. I could live on a deserted island if I just had those 2 shows. I'd be fine.
Oh my goodness. That's so sweet, though. That's really neat. Especially about the seasons of your life, that's something that's a comfort that you run to.
I'm already planning to rewatch them all this fall.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So anyways, let's see here. What is the best way for your partner to comfort you when you're sad? I think this is probably true for all women. They would write, listen. And
First word on my...
And don't try to fix.
Oh.
But, just listen,
Yeah.
And then cuddle.
That's what I put, Marie. I put to listen and just hold me. And then the only other thing I put was to walk silently with me. Like go for a walk where we don't have to say any words. Like I just to be present, Yeah.
Right. It's probably one of the best ways we can comfort anyone in any scenario of our life is listening.
Right. Right.
Maybe not the cuddling with your coworker, but listening.
Well, maybe read the room.
Right.
Don't creep anybody out there, but
yeah. All right. What does your partner do that makes you laugh the hardest? Well, Mindy, you're already laughing. So what is it?
Well, this is something that I make fun of Bryce about because he's so cute when he does it, but I totally make fun of him is ordering his drink at Starbucks. And this is such a silly little thing, but he has the most diva drink order in the world. And he's never been a Starbucks person. He doesn't drink caffeine. Well, somehow my daughter helped him figure out the just right concoction that he loves. And now it's his special, drink. And it is so frou-frou and all these different things that it cracks me up to watch him have to order it. So most of the time, we just do it through the mobile app because he can just add it. It's all put in. But if we go to a store and he just looks flustered and he's trying to tell him everything, cracks me up. I know that's really silly. And the other thing, though, that's happening a lot in my house since Grant's home for the summer. It is funny just between me and you.
Uh-huh.
But I act like it annoys me because that brings them joy, but they all gang up on me.
Okay.
And so it actually makes me laugh that he has so many guys that they literally throw me under the bus about everything.
Okay.
And then they're fist bumping each other, you know, and they're talking about mom this and mom that. And it's just, they have a blast throwing me under the bus. And I think it's hilarious that that's how they relate.
Yeah. You're their commonality.
I am. But then they're all afraid of me. So I know like when I'm done, I'm done.
Right. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I was trying to think of what does Steve do that makes me laugh the hardest. I would say some of the hardest times we laugh at Steve is when we're traveling with him because he travels for a living. So he's extremely efficient. He gets really super frustrated at the way we travel as a family. And then we just can't stop making fun of it. And it's almost like we travel slower and less efficiently just so we can see his reaction and laugh.
It's so mean.
I don't know that we're consciously doing it, but I feel like we all are doing it.
That's so funny.
And we just can't stop laughing about it.
Yeah. And I'm sure that brings him joy secretly.
It's like if you know what button to push on someone.
I mean, why not?
It's just too funny. It's so easy. Just walk slow through the airport and don't have your license ready to go and don't have your boarding pass out. And, you know, take your time. Like, that's enough to send him over the edge.
Oh, my goodness. I think I'm Steve in this scenario.
All right. Well, what's the best thing you learned from your mother?
There are 3 simple things that I learned from my mom that I think have carried me through and given me a life that I desire. And that's praying. My mother is a prayer. I know that about her. She prays for the little things. We talked about this earlier about the miracle question. Like I remember her telling me that there's 3 bridges on her road to get from town to her house, and they made her nervous. And she prayed every time that there would be no one else on the bridge when she was passing. And the Lord blessed that prayer. She has a lot of faith, and so she prays in faith. And I very much see that in her still. She loves my dad. She is loyal, committed, faithful, adoring. You know. Makes fun of him like the best of us. And I think I learned, you know, that from her too, that commitment, that loyalty, that even when things were hard, like you pray through it. Like you just, I knew that they weren't perfect. I knew that they, you know, they fought like any couple that loves each other. There's going to be conflict, but I always saw them working through that. And then the last thing, which actually kind of covers everything for me, is contentment at home. And that was something that it was then and it is now. It's countercultural to be okay and to be content. But I saw my mom be content, loving her husband, raising her kids, being very busy about the house. She was never idle. She is never idle. And she serves, you know, she'll serve the church. She ministers to people. But she just has a contentment that permeates.
Yeah. Those are all good things. And those are things I see in you too, Mindy.
I hope so.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Let's see. What's the best thing you learned from your mother? This just came to mind immediately is you do what you have to do. And I feel like my mom, she would say that to other people who would ask her, I don't know how you're doing X, Y, and Z. And like as a kid, you're always listening to your parents' conversations. That was one of my favorite pastimes, was to sit quietly in the room and just let the women get talking. And, you know, I feel like she would say, you do what you have to do. And from my earliest memories, like when I was 5 and my dad had been out of work for several months and we lived in New York State, but he happened to get a job in California. And so they packed us all up, 4 kids, a board across the back seat, the youngest in my mom's arms. And we took 6 days to drive out to California.
Wow.
And then when he wasn't happy out there 2 years later, we moved everybody back. And, that was just, you do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she had to leave her family behind because in the middle of that time, her family had moved out there and then they didn't move back. And that was the great heartbreak of her life, that she then lived 2,500 miles from her family.
Oh,
but, that was just, you did what you had to do. And then just like when they needed extra money and we were kind of all getting a little bit older, I think I might have been I don't know when she started. I might have been in 3rd or 4th grade, and maybe she finished when I was in 5th or 6th grade. She went back to school at night to get her master's in special education, and she would take like 1 or 2 classes a semester and drive an hour and a half each way through snow and all kinds of bad weather late at night. They always had really run-down cars, and I remember a couple times the cars would break down at like 10 o'clock at night, and of course there's no cell phones, and the weather would be terrible, and she'd have to walk to a farmer's house in the dark, wake them up, call my dad. My dad would have to load all 4 of us in the car, drive an hour to go pick her up. Like, I don't even know how they ever got the other car back, but just like, I would hear her say things, and people would be like, how'd you do it? You just do what you have to do. Like, over and over again, they were always like, if you don't have money, then you learn how to do it. And this was before YouTube. You ask people, you learn how to do it, you make it, you do without. Yeah, they've done so many DIY things to houses and cars and property over the years. Like, they just, you do what you have to do. And so I just feel like that was what my mom mostly taught me, just by example. And then also when people would say, like, I don't know how you're working and, renovating this house by yourselves and raising these kids and still doing this and have this house, she'd be like, well, you do what you have to do. I mean, that was just kind of always their attitude. And so, I don't know, I feel like I've pulled on that a lot over the years.
Yeah.
That if you don't have the money, then you either do without or you find a way to do it. And if you don't have the skill, then you either learn it or you trade someone else to do it for you, or like, you don't ever just say like, oh, well, I guess I just can't do that. Like, you just find another way to reach the goal. And so I kind of feel like that would probably be the biggest thing that they and my mom, taught me. So.
Wow. What a cool example. And I know I follow your mom on Facebook, and I love seeing her and your dad, like, still just thriving, traveling. They're amazing.
Yeah. I mean, they now, like, my kids don't see them as that because they never knew them when it was like $2 till payday. And payday was a long way away. But now that they're retired and like they can go to Ireland for a month right now, and they're posting all these pictures, and I don't begrudge them 1 second of that because they have earned the right to do what they want. Because there were years and years and years they never traveled. They never got to see what they wanted to do, it's really cool to see. I don't know, just to see how life changes, and life is long, and you can be at one situation at one point in your life and then, be in a different situation at another point. But they still have that attitude of you do what you have to do,
Right. I don't think that ever leaves you. I know I mentioned the question that meant the most to me over vacation was, how did your family's financial status affect you as you were growing up? To be able to sit down like with your parents and your kids, like all your kids, because it changes, like between Abigail and the twin girls, it was so telling to be able to talk through things, because I know my younger kids don't necessarily remember or didn't see the struggle, like even when Bryce and I were younger. And then to add another generation to that, it is a fascinating question to ask around a family gathering.
Yeah, you get so many insights. You understand people so much better when you know what they came from.
Yes.
Because those lessons are taught early in life. Whatever circumstances you came from really did shape you.
Right. That's right.
And all of us came from so many different types of situations. So, all right, let's talk about our next question, which is, this is kind of appropriate. In what ways do you find yourself behaving like your mother or father? And this is probably more like in funny ways.
All right. So I'll go ahead and share first, but I immediately thought about my dad is very smart, but he is silly. He loves to joke. He is gregarious. He's charismatic. My parents still sing in the choir at their church, and it's hard to contain my father because he's busy, making fun, like having fun. His ability to have fun speaks very, very much to me. And I love to have fun. I love to put people at ease, self-deprecating, like make fun of people. It really doesn't matter. I love to laugh. And I feel like I kind of like got that lightheartedness, and also including other people, like bringing other people in with it from my dad. He's had a hard life, but for him to be able to joke and everything, it's just, I think of my dad. And then anytime I make homemade cookies or I have a witty comeback, I feel like my mom.
Okay.
Like my dad might be outwardly boisterous, but my mom will be sitting there quietly and have the best one-liners. And she has this smart wit that is really funny. And so she's quietly funny.
That's funny.
And if somehow I can have those two together, they're a cute couple, and I love watching them have fun in retirement. But that's how I feel like my mom and dad.
That is funny. It's funny when you catch glimpses. I mean, definitely you have inside glimpses of your parents, but then a lot of times when I even look at a body part, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's my mom's arm. That's not my arm. That's my mom's arm. How did that happen?
I know, right?
Or sometimes I'll look even at I'll look at my oldest son's hands. I'll be like, that's my dad's hands. Like, and my brother's.
Funny.
It's just funny. You see body parts and you're like, oh, those. But there's inside characteristics of us too. One of the things that I definitely see myself becoming more like my parents in is now that I have grandchildren, I do the things that they did for my kids. And I know a little bit more about how they must have felt doing them. And so you can see yourself change more into your parents also once you're a grandparent, because you were old enough to see them as a grandparent and still remember it. So then it's like real fresh in your mind then when you are.
Like, yep.
Yeah. There's this Instagram account, though, that my daughter and I laugh about. It's Kristen Nutson, and it's KNUTSON on Instagram. And then I'm not sure what you would look under. It's Call Me Kristen Marie, I think is her actual account. But she always does funny things about boomer moms, which would be our generation of moms, Mindy. And so I will laugh so hard because she is totally nailing my mom. And then sometimes she'll be totally nailing me. Like sometimes I'm acting like my mom. And so last night I sent out on the group chat, point of view, trying to tell your boomer mom a story. And even though I'm Gen X, I act a lot like the boomer mom in the story where the girl goes, oh, let me tell you about brunch. I went to brunch yesterday. You did? Who with? Oh, Jenny and Amy. Amy? I haven't heard that name before. Are you close? When did you become friends? Was she in your wedding? It's like the moms ask so many questions. We want to know every detail that at the end of the little reel, she's like, now, what was the story you wanted me to tell? Honestly, I don't even remember. Like, there were so many questions before I ever got to my story. I don't remember. And so I sent that. And my oldest daughter goes, oh my goodness, I just saw that and I wanted to send it to you, but I thought you might be offended. I said, oh, I'm totally not offended. I said, you should be grateful and thankful. I care so much about the details.
Marie, will you send that to me?
Yes.
I have got to share that with my kids. This is what I get in trouble for. Mom, the questions.
We want to know.
I care about you.
Yeah.
I'm entering into your interests.
Right.
And I want to know who you enjoy spending time with.
Yes. And all about them too.
And then when they talk to Bryce, he's like, just give me the nuts and bolts.
Right.
Like, Mom wants all the details.
Yes. So obviously I can see myself doing things my mom does. Even in this Instagram account, I laugh so hard.
Yes, that's awesome. Okay, I need to follow this person.
Yeah, she's funny. And it's all said with good humor.
That's the best.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's see here. If you opened a shop, what would you sell? For the longest time, I had no idea about this question, and then it came to me. Probably books.
Oh,
I would love to like sell books, recommend books, tell people what they should read next, that kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool, Marie. Yeah, I could see that.
What would you sell?
All right, I had I put athleisure.
Oh, I can see that.
Athleisure. I would actually like specifically try to be an encouragement, like with all things healthy related situations and coffee.
Oh, I could see that. So you could have like a health store / coffee shop. And you would be in your happy place.
It could be a mental health and physical health kind of situation.
I mean, I really see that being successful.
I don't know. That would be it.
Yeah. That's cool. All right. What is your favorite part of coming home after a trip? You're going to laugh. My favorite part is knowing that I don't have another trip on my mind for a while.
Oh, that's funny.
I had fun.
That's funny.
But I'm glad that I don't have to plan another trip for a while.
Yeah. That's a neat thing to put down.
Other small ones were seeing Clara, my dog.
Yeah, for sure.
And then just getting all my stuff back in the usual spots, because you know how when you travel, it's like, oh, well, where is that thing? Oh, I haven't flossed my teeth in 3 days because I haven't been able to find my floss. Like, I don't know, just whatever. Yeah. So it's to get things back where they belong. What did you have?
I totally agree. Hey, I totally agree with you. And I've been on a couple of trips lately, and I am so thrilled to come home, and I get quite efficient. I don't care how long the trip was. I am so efficient. I walk through the door and I have this new energy. I want to unpack. I want to start the laundry. I mean, I start that laundry so fast. I'm so excited to have my washer and dryer back with me. And I feel so good washing the trip off of everything, the pillowcases, the blankets that people wanted, like everything. And then after I'm unpacked, I immediately check on all of my babies outside, my plants, flowers, shrubs. And I walk barefoot in my grass as I'm deadheading my roses, as I'm watering my potted plants and bringing them back to health, because they had to do without mommy for, a little bit. I get so happy to kind of, give them a drink and bring them back up to health again. So that is the best thing for me to do. And I'm going to add something here. I have groceries delivered to the house. We just did this last week. Game changer, Marie. We've talked about doing Instacart when you're at the beach and having your groceries delivered to the house, so you don't have to do the whole grocery shopping at the beach. Well, this was a gift to come home and put in my order. It arrived at the house the same time we got home.
Oh, perfect.
So I didn't have to go to the store. So I could be about my house and do my laundry and unpack and water my plants and not have to leave again to go get milk.
That is really good. Yeah, definitely a game changer. Well, these questions are so fun, Mindy. I like hearing new things. It's like we kind of know what someone's going to say, but then we also learn a little bit more. Listeners, we hope that you'll follow the link in our show notes to the table topics that Mindy owns and start asking your family some of these, because what great questions to be asking your young adults.
It is very informative.
Yeah. And listeners, if you want to ask us any questions, you can find us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast, or you can email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. But before we go, we want to do I'm a Fan. And what are you a fan of this week, Mindy?
I am a fan of Walmart Plus.
I'm so interested to hear about this.
Okay. Bryce and I talked about it, and we had been seeing it advertised And we finally decided, hey, let's just try it. I mean, what's the harm, you know? And so it was like free for the first month, and then you pay a small fee each month. And I actually don't even know how much it is.
I think it's $100 for the year.
Okay.
Or $12 if you just pay by the month.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thanks, Marie.
I've actually looked into it too.
Don't have all the details. Okay. We kind of wanted to see how we would use it. Is this worth it? Well, so far we have been able to save 10 cents a gallon on gas.
Oh, that's nice.
Every single time. And the app is so user friendly. Actually, it's almost like magic. Like when you go to get gas, and see, Walmart is the place that I pass all the time. So I'm already getting gas at Walmart. So it made sense for us to do this. And then I'm also having groceries delivered to my home from Walmart because it's free. So it's free grocery delivery. And that's who delivered my groceries the other day when we came back from the beach. Having like Walmart pickup was a game changer when that started, but having it delivered is even better. I don't have to go anywhere. And I'm able to get on the app in the morning, and they have afternoon times available. I'm sure every Walmart's different, but, and then I haven't used this very much, but the shipping feature, like you get free shipping, and there's more, there's more that I haven't even like used yet. So, but basically, like between the gas and the free grocery delivery, I'm sold.
And do you know about Walmart Home?
Ooh, tell me.
Well, that's an extra $40. After you sign up for Walmart Plus, then they'll prompt you and ask you if you want Walmart Home. And I don't know if it's in all areas, so that may be why you haven't been prompted.
Okay.
But you pay $40 extra, but it takes away, you aren't allowed to tip. Like there's no tipping function on the app anymore if you sign up for that. And so I was reading on Facebook people that were talking about it, and they were saying that made it worth it because then they saved that money in tips the whole year.
Oh,
you know, just the extra $40. And the thing about, I don't know if I would do this, but the thing they say you can do with it is like if you gave them your garage code, they would load like all your cold stuff like into your garage refrigerator. Like you don't even need to be home to receive your groceries. Theoretically, you could also give them the code to go into your house. I don't know if I really would, but they could just do it into your kitchen refrigerator. But people were saying that even if you don't want them to come into your garage or your house, you can just specify, just please leave on porch. But they got it mostly just to save the tipping, because then they didn't have that thing every time. There wasn't, well, how much should I tip? And, all that. So, anyways,
cool.
It might not be in your area, so that might not be why they didn't prompt you yet on it.
Right. I haven't seen that, but I mean, I need to still even do research. I mean, I'm telling y'all about this, and I've just experienced it for 2 weeks.
Yes.
So.
Yes. It's so funny because I actually tried that the month of June. But at my situation in life right now, I just ended up canceling my free trial of both. I tried both. The service was fine. Like the delivery was fine. Everything was fine. I just don't find that I get enough orders from Walmart to make it worth it. Like I think I got 1, maybe 2 the whole month of June, because most of the places we shop are like Trader Joe's, Costco, Aldi, like
I don't
stuff
have
like that.
either of those.
Yes. And so I think if I lived in an area where, and I don't have Walmart gas right by me either.
Right.
But like my sister in Murfreesboro, she has Walmart gas station right by her house. She already picks up her groceries at Walmart. So for her, that would be totally worth it. But for me, it just wasn't working out. But I do encourage people to give it a try because it's free to try.
It is free to try and just see if you like it. It works for me. It didn't for Marie. So who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Definitely the service itself was great. It just, I wasn't using it enough. But anyways, I love that you shared that. That's really good. I'm a fan of a book that I listen to. I find it's easier for me to listen to nonfiction than it is to read it. Because I get bored reading nonfiction. But this is called The Menopause Manifesto. And so I am 51, and getting to the age where that will come in the next few years. And I want to know what the heck is going on and what I should expect. And there's not a lot of information that you're given. And there aren't a lot of people that are willing to share their stories. And you feel kind of awkward, like asking people. So this is called The Menopause Manifesto by Jen Gunter. And she's a gynecologist. And she wrote a whole book. And I mean, there is every topic that you could want to know about in there: perimenopause, hot flashes, sleep disturbance, mood changes, skin and hair issues, just everything. And then it was written, I think it might have been released in 2021. So the information is pretty current, because I don't want to read something that was written 10 years ago.
No.
Because that's not going to be current anymore. So I did roll my eyes at some of the things that she said. But all in all, I felt like this was a really informative book. And if you just don't have anyone to talk to, or you just want to get a starting point for asking your doctor some of these questions, I thought the Menopause Manifesto was very informative.
I've heard this same book from other places.
Oh, really?
And so I'm glad you're sharing it, because you're right. Like, there's so much happening with our bodies. And it would be really nice to kind of hear it from a good source.
Yes.
And be able to, even like you said, springboarding questions for your doctor.
Yeah, because I would say this would be applicable to anybody like in their 40s and up, because all these changes start about 10 years before.
Right.
So you're already experiencing them. You just don't always know why, and is this normal? And I just thought it was really good.
Right. That was a surprise to me on another podcast where we talked about menopause, to learn that you start with premenopause up to 10 years. It could be up to 10 years before. And so there are things happening in your body, and it's like, great. One more. How many things have our bodies been through over the years? I mean, seriously.
I know. There'll probably be something after that we don't even know about. But
yeah.
All right. Well, I'll put a link to that in the show notes for anyone that wants to read it, and then also link to where you can sign up for Walmart Plus, because that is something that's going to make your life a lot easier. All right, Mindy, I enjoyed this conversation. I missed having Julie, but I'm so glad we were able to record. Listeners, we're kind of hit and miss this summer. We're all have different vacations. It's just a little bit harder. So if you see a week go by and we don't release a new episode, it's because there wasn't a time that we could find everybody to get together.
Yeah.
But know that we're not stopping, and there's not anything wrong. It's just summer is a little bit hit or miss. So
right. Bear with us.
Yes. I know for sure that the episode, like, we released this one, and then the next week there won't be one, because like Mindy and I are both gone next week. So that's just the way summer is. So go back and listen to some of our older episodes, re-listen. I mean, we have almost 5 years worth of stuff, so there's stuff for you to listen to.
Plenty.
Yeah. All right, Mindy, good to see you. We'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sounds great, Marie.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.